At the start of each academic year, and indeed at the start of each semester, I like to reflect back on my own educational journey, the things that went right and the things that went wrong. In this activity, you'll introduce yourself to your students. They'll get to know you as a person, and then they'll get to know each other. It's a really nice icebreaker in that students are engaged with each other in meaningful conversations at a level that they're comfortable with. My name's Adam, and I was born in a town called Swindon in the southwest of England. It's not exactly famous. Here I am on the left with my brother Mark on the right, and we're outside a castle in Wales. And by the look of our clothes, I think that's the late 70s or the early 80s. I went to the local comprehensive school in Swindon called Churchfields, and everything seemed to be going well until about the age of 14 when I failed some exams, and I got put down a class in science. This was terrible for me in the short term, but I did meet a great chemistry teacher called Mr. Pritchard, who through his mad experiments and jokes inspired me to study chemistry, and that's what I went on to study at university. Indeed, I was the first in my family to go to university, and the first in my school to go to Oxford, which was a privilege, and I had a great time there ultimately, but it was scary from somebody from my town to be studying there. After Oxford, I studied to be a high school teacher in Birmingham, and then did my PhD in Cambridge before taking up my first lectureship in Harlem. And then I came to Sydney in 2006. Having a sense of belonging, a sense that you matter, is really important for students. We see here that academic achievement is strongly linked to sense of belonging. Overall student experience is strongly linked to sense of belonging. Students that feel a sense of belonging enjoy their studies more and do better in their studies. The things that are linked to belonging are things that we have control of and things that we don't have control of as teachers. Teaching quality, well-structured and focused lessons, teachers that demonstrate concern, and teachers that are approachable and helpful. The ability to work well with others and have opportunities to work well with others, and feeling prepared for your studies during transition, experiencing efficient admissions processes, and finding induction and orientation activities that are helpful. And peer interaction, interacting with students that are like you and students that are not like you, and being given opportunities to interact with all kinds of students. So here I am in Swindon, about to head off to my first day at university. My parents drive me over to Oxford and I get rid of them really quickly. There's a party on my staircase with fellow students, and at 5 o'clock we have a meeting with my college tutor. He hands us a glass of sherry and there's a fire roaring. Sounds idyllic. I was petrified. He tells us we have a collection on Sunday afternoon. I have no idea what that word collection means, but everybody else in the room seems to be nodding and happy with that. I find out over the course of the weekend that a collection is an exam. So 3 days into my career at Oxford, I had my first exam. And then on the Monday morning, my first lecture. And the eminent professor proceeds to derive the hydrogen wave functions from the Schrödinger equation, which the scientists will know is a hugely mathematical process. Everybody else is writing down all the symbols and seems completely engrossed. I am baffled. My first year at Oxford was a real struggle, and I ended up failing a collection in mathematics, and I had to sit a penal collection, which is the exam they give you if they want to get rid of you. But my tutor really helped me, and I got through. But it was only really during my fourth year, which was a research year, that I really felt like I belonged at Oxford, and that I belonged in my discipline. Here I am on the final day of my exams. I can tell it's my final day because alongside my gown, my suit, and my bow tie, I've got a red carnation on. On the first day of your exams, you're encouraged to wear a white carnation. I had 4 days of exams, and over those exams, the carnation darkens in colour, and I've got a dark red carnation on here, and I look a little bit worse for wear. My journey in higher education has been completely transformational. It's taken me from a small town in southwest England via Oxford, Cambridge, to the other side of the world, to the University of Sydney. Here's my journey, and those of my students in the unit of study I taught. Our students come from the four corners of the world. You can read more details of my story in this article on teaching in Sydney. Arriving in Sydney in 2006 as a white English middle-class male, I had no idea about the University of Sydney's history, or indeed the tens of thousands of years of education that preceded it. One of the transformational experiences I had when I was first here was to attend the kinship module, which told me all about the kinship structures in Aboriginal societies. I highly recommend it both for yourself and for your students. The My Journey activity works well in both synchronous and asynchronous classes. In the synchronous class, you can talk about your journey in perhaps 5 minutes. Talk about the ups, the downs, the things that went well, the things that didn't go well, the passion that you have for your discipline. And then in small groups, perhaps at tables or in breakout rooms, get the students to introduce themselves to each other, share their journeys at a level that they're comfortable with. And you can also ask your class to add their journeys to an interactive map. Full details are available on the Transition Resources site. You can also run this activity in an asynchronous way, via a discussion board perhaps. Write briefly about the important points in your journey, and then use the discussion board for the students to introduce themselves to each other and share elements of their journeys that they're comfortable with. More details are available on the Transition Resources site.